Hi guys, it's Carissa. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I wash my makeup brushes. I have developed a system over the last few years, and there are steps that I have made much easier on myself. There are steps that I have eliminated, and I guess this is going to go kind of along with my makeup video, my makeup storage and collection video, in the sense that I just want to warn everybody. It might seem like it's over the top, and the products that I have here might seem extravagant or expensive. This is something that I do on maybe a different scale than other people. I've just kind of counted here from my regular, like, everyday stash of brushes, and I have over 30 brushes that I use on a pretty regular basis. Like, almost all of these brushes have been used in the last week, for example. So all together, I probably have around 45 brushes. I would be surprised if I have over 50, but that's just to give you an idea of how much, what the volume is that I have to wash, and, just why I've had to streamline the process. If you're only washing 5 or 6 brushes at a time, or 1 or 2 brushes at a time, you may not find that some of the issues that I had would be issues for you, and you could just use a soap of your choice and your hand the way I used to. But after a while, I ran into some problems, which I'll talk about. So let's start with the actual cleanser or soap. I have done a ton of research on this, and I used to hear conflicting things about natural bristle brushes and faux fiber brushes, and the different things that you can or can't use, if you should use conditioners. And what it comes down to is you just really want to get them super clean. And I have found in the past that my favorite thing to use was just like Dove bar soap, the white soap, and I felt like that got my brushes really clean. But then I had this beauty blender cleanser that, while I had a beauty blender I was using, I got this big old bottle of this free with my purchase. And this is basically just baby shampoo. So you could totally just use baby shampoo. In fact, the one that I use to give my hedgehog baths is the Aveeno Baby, the oatmeal shampoo. You could use that on your brushes, and I think that you'd be really happy with that. I very recently just found this and didn't even realize I still had so much. I have washed a couple of brushes with it in the past, and it worked really nicely, but I would never pay for this at the price that it is, because it's basically baby shampoo. If you look at the ingredients, it smells nice, smells like lavender, but that Aveeno one I was talking about, I think that has a lavender scent as well. My favorite thing to use lately, though, is Castile soap. I love that it just really cleans my brushes really thoroughly. It's super thin, and you don't have to worry about a ton of foam and bubbles the way you do when you use something like bar soap or baby shampoo. It just shows you the immediate results of, here's all the makeup pouring out of this, and then you can really see how clean it gets, and you don't have to keep rinsing and rinsing and rinsing to get rid of foaming agents. So I think that that is just an awesome alternative. The main reason why I stopped using bar soap, to be 100% honest with you, is because my husband kept stealing it and using it in the shower, because I mostly use shower gels. I don't really use bar soap, hardly ever. So he would be more likely to run out of it before I would notice, and he, if I didn't buy a new one, he would steal my brush cleaning bar, because I would just buy the little travel size because it would go so far. And it was getting so aggravating, because I would go to wash my brushes and I'd see that he had taken that bar soap and, put it in his armpits and all sorts of stuff. So I thought, all right, I'm going to try something different. So when I tried the Castile soap, I was pleasantly surprised. However, I couldn't believe how much time I was saving from not having to rinse all of the foam and bubbles and stuff. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if you've got a ton of brushes to wash in one session. Now, the next thing that I'm going to show you is something I purchased recently. I've only had it for a few weeks, and I could see this being the thing that people think is the most ridiculous thing to have. But in my opinion, it was a really wise investment. I did a lot of research online for months, just out of curiosity here and there. I would try and find things on Pinterest as like an alternative to breaking down and making the purchase for this. but nothing seemed like it would be as effective, and I'm really happy with it. I'm embarrassed to hold it up because I hope it doesn't have my hair all stuck to it or cat hair all stuck to it, but it is this Sigma Spa brush washing glove. This is the new version that has 2 thumbs on it so that you can swap it both ways. To be honest with you, I don't use it like a glove. I just lay it in my sink and wash the brushes on it. I don't like wearing it like a mitt. It makes my hand feel sweaty. Plus it comes with like a microfiber insert that I just kind of shove in there because I don't know about you, but microfiber makes my hands, my hands don't even feel super dry, but apparently I've got millions of little tiny scraggly bits of dry skin on my hands that I immediately feel when I touch microfiber, and it gives me the willies. So I just lay this in the bottom of the sink, and then I also clean this really well when I'm done with it. All the little textures all over it make such a huge difference because, again, it's more effective, so it's faster, it's, you know, less time consuming, it's less harsh on the brushes. Because prior to that, what I was doing was I was just putting the soap in the palm of my hand, getting the brush a little bit wet, and then just swirling it over my hand and just using the natural textures of my own hand to clean the brush. Well, if you have to do that with 25 brushes, your hand starts to get really raw because you're basically micro exfoliating your hand over and over again with all these brushes, and it starts to feel uncomfortable. It's like if you use a body scrub and you apply it with just your hands over and over again. It's too much for your hands to take, and that started to be the part that I was dreading the most about washing my brushes. I'd like turn my hand over and try and do it on the front on my knuckles and stuff. And it just got to the point where I thought there has to be a better way, there has to be something else I can use. And I was familiar with the previous Sigma glove, but I always thought it was too pricey. Honestly, it was worth the investment for the number of brushes that I have to wash. It cuts down on a lot of time and aggravation and discomfort. I think that if you wash brushes on a much smaller scale, you could definitely get away with not using that. I think that you could probably get like a textured Tupperware lid or something like that and try and use that. The only real downside is it's super flimsy, and I think that that's for, you know, for comfort for your hand when it's in there. I kind of wish it was just like a rigid plastic like square with all different textures on it. It immediately made me think of those little fashion plate like doll things where you color with your crayon and you get different textures on the clothes. I just kind of wish I had a big plate of those so that I could wash my brushes on it because I don't really utilize the glove feature. The next things I'm going to show you are my 100% absolute favorite products that I use to wash my brushes. And this is another thing that I held off on buying for so long, and then one day I found myself for the millionth time using like sandwich clips and hair clips to clip my brushes to this metal rack that I put my hair stuff on and like my hair dryer, and trying to like fit hair clips around these so I could dry them upside down. And I thought, you know what, that's kind of ridiculous, and it's probably not super hygienic if you spend all that time washing your brushes. The other option that you definitely have is to just lay your brushes flat on a towel. The problem is I don't really have the time or the memory to remember to keep running back and checking to see if the brushes are dry or if they need to be rotated. So they would often not be dry by the time I needed to use them. So that was really inconvenient for me, especially because usually I'll wash my brushes on like a weekend day, like a Sunday or like a Friday afternoon, and I want to be able to use them the very next day, if not in a few hours from then. So sometimes that was super inconvenient, but that was the only option I really had. So I'd sometimes prolong washing certain brushes because I knew I need to use them again before they'd be dry. And that's not ideal. So I found out about these brush trees, I guess they're called, a very long time ago, and I finally invested in them. I had one for a really long time, and it's the Benjabel Daisy. It's just this little plastic stand that you snap together. It comes packaged really flat, and I'm sorry, all of this stuff is so dirty because it just collects dust, and you don't realize how dirty stuff looks until you're talking about it and holding it and showing it instead of just using it regular. So using it regular, just don't look too closely. I'm not going to clean this stuff just to show it to you guys. So This is the Daisy brush holder. This has slots for much larger brushes, brushes with like a thick handle like this. What this does is it holds your brushes upside down to dry. And it's so nice because it lets air circulate all around them. You can put this on top of a towel on your countertop if they're super wet, but I usually wring them out pretty well before I do this. And then what you do is you just stick them in the tree, and the rubber in the center holds them like this, and it kind of helps maintain the shape really nicely and helps them all just dry in this downward, words and stuff. I am so amazed at how much faster my brushes dry in these trees than they did with my other methods. I think it's because in every other way that I've tried before to dry them, they were always touching something else in some way. So it always kept a lot of moisture in at least one side of the brush. The other one I picked up much more recently. I've only had this one for a little while. And of course, it's got my hair stuck to it. This is the Benjabel mini brush tree, I think it's called. I don't know, it doesn't say it on the tree to help me cheat and let you know, but it looks like this, but it has a whole bunch of little tiny spaces, and that's awesome for all of my little brushes. So I've got stuff like these itty bitty Eco Tools face brushes that I use for like concealer and stuff, and I can just stick them in like that and they dry so nicely. I would just not wash certain face brushes that I need, like foundation brush. Like, I can't wait for this to dry. I've got to use this. And then it would get to the point where it was super filthy, and I was rubbing that on my skin and just putting bacteria into my face with my makeup every day. One huge plus to taking these extra steps to washing your brushes is that as a result, your skin really does improve. I don't have problem skin. I feel like I'm not blemish prone. I'm pretty lucky when it comes to skin issues in general. I have a lot of redness in my skin, but for the most part, it's like steel. It can put up with just about anything. However, since changing to this method of washing my brushes with this system, I have noticed an incredible improvement in the texture and overall feel of my skin. It's just so much more supple, and it feels like it's breathing. I will link all of the products below in case you're curious about any of them, want to take a look at them on their websites or where you can purchase them. And please let me know, as always, if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.